guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we're gonna have a nice lesson and we're gonna be using our show bridle today with some draw reins in order to help us get a little bit of a better head carriage from Hazel. But other than that, she's doing really good. We're doing great in this learning for the canter here. I think we're almost there. Definitely she has a weaker side, so it is still a work in progress on one side, but the other is looking pretty smooth and pretty nice. So we're just kind of touching up some of these areas. They're a little bit harder for us to get right now, but it's looking good, so stay tuned. We're gonna have some awesome stuff coming up. So first things first, it is the warm-up. So we're gonna make sure we're nice and warmed up and ready. One of the things that I've noticed is that my stirrups are not properly put on the saddle, so every time I want to put my feet in it, I have to kind of twist it because it just comes in backwards, and it makes it a little hard for me to just make sure that I have the foot in the right side of the stirrup. These are the Sam Shield rep, so you do have one side that you have to put your foot into the correct way in order to use them the best way possible. If not, it's just going to be a little bit painful for you if you're using them backwards. So just if ever you guys are considering those stirrups, just make sure you have them on the right way onto your saddle. I'm gonna have to just play with that and just change that up a little bit so it's easier for us to use them, but overall looking good. So if you guys compare this video or this footage to our previous video without the drawing, you'll notice that Hazel's head is a little bit better placed there, so she doesn't have the nose sticking up a little bit in the air. She's a little bit better framed, so that's the only reason why we're using drawing, is just to get her to just tuck that nose back in there. She doesn't need like a lot of heavy work with those reins anymore. She's used to them. She knows how the drill is. So we're pretty good. It's just to really kind of touch up on that. If she can kind of associate having this bridle, this bit, and you know, this head carriage would be amazing. But it's a work in progress. So we just had a little spook here. Really noisy overall at the barn that day. Really noisy. There's people in and out, people talking to each other. And then with the 6 feet distancing, it's more like yelling across the barn. So there's a lot of noise. Horses are being brought in as well from the pasture and they're being fed. So lots of commotion there. I'm not too sure what she's spooked about, but I never make it a big deal if she's not like being mean about it. She's not trying to throw you off about it. Just carry on as if nothing happened, and eventually they'll kind of figure out that, hey, it's not a big deal, let's just keep on working, and that's it. So just stay calm and keep on pushing your horse forward, focus on what you gotta do, and continue that way. So spooks will happen, you just have to handle them and just pretend that nothing happened and continue. So Hazel's nice and warmed up, so it's time to test that canter just a little bit to see how we're feeling today. She's definitely growing some new muscle with this canter work, so I make sure that at least she's warmed up in all gaits before we get into it, just not to hurt those new muscles here, and make sure that she's pretty prepared for what we're gonna do. She's doing pretty good overall that day. She was her head was in the right place, she was very cooperative, and we're gonna have an amazing ride for you guys. So as per my coach's suggestion, well, she really strongly suggests and advised that I warm Hazel up at least a good 10 to 15 minutes on both sides at the trot, especially. So we get her into the walk, just slowly get her into the trot, and just really make sure that she's really warmed up all over for 10-15 minutes before we do anything else. And then usually I feel when Hazel's kind of ready for the next level, she kind of, I don't know, you just kind of know it's time. Not that she does anything really particular to show me that she's ready, but I just kind of feel that she's ready to take it to the next level. I don't know if I feel some boredom or something like that, and I just push her forward into the canter to just kind of get her brain in the right place, getting her ready to work and fit for that. But yeah, it's definitely something she lets me know of. Same thing when we're cooling down, or if we're just giving her, you know, a little bit few moments to catch her breath. She eventually lets me know as well, okay, we're done with this walking, let's move it to the next speed, and I kind of just take it up from there because she's really cooperative in that headspace. So, you know, if that's what she wants to do and it's something we can do, then I'll do it. So my coach just arrived, and then that means that the lesson is finally on, and then we're going to be able to start almost right away. Hazel's pretty warmed up, so we're ready to go. So I'm just going to follow her directive here and just go large, go all around the arena, give her a nice trotting action so my coach can see how we're doing today, and then move on from there. So one of the things we have to work with Hazel is consistency in the forward trot. So Hazel has been trained for 9 months to kind of slow down in her trot because she used to be very forward. So we just had to kind of reteach her to kind of pace herself and, you know, balance herself and all of that. So that's something she's offering now naturally. Now the issue that we're having with this trot is that to get the consistency, so I will push her into a working trot, which is a little bit faster than the trot that she's offering currently, and she will keep it for maybe 1.5 circles, and then she's gonna slowly drift back into her slow or normal trot, and then it's just that kind of, you know, back and forth movement that we have to kind of just control. So if I set you at the working trot, I would like you to keep the working trot and, you know, continue on with whatever I'm asking. So something we have to kind of just work on a little bit is to tune that in a little bit, and get her to just stay consistent with that trot. If I'm asking her to pick up that trot, I'm expecting that kind of trot, you know, for the long haul. So that's something we're working on. So testing here our first canter here with my coach, really trying to balance Hazel back on her hocks, on her back end, and just really get that smooth connection and good collection as well at the canter. So my coach really raved about that start, that, you know, going into the canter transition there was beautiful. She was really happy with that. The canter is still a little bit fast, so we're gonna have to work on just packaging it a little bit more and slowing down. But at least she's picking it up when I'm asking her to, and she's really using her rear end to do so. So that's at least a good start. Eventually, with more muscle, more training, you're going to be able to slow it down just a notch and then be able to kind of really use different speed in that canter, push her forward, you know, collect her, and all kinds of different speed basically. So at any gates, except the walk, well, you could be having a working walk, but usually the trot and the canter, you can have kind of 3 speed using that gate. So just forward, regular, and a little bit slower, and the same for the trot. And I believe, and I've never tried it at the walk, but I guess you could have a collected walk as well, a normal walk and a forward walk, I guess, if you wanted to. But usually the trot and the canter is definitely more important, because when you're actually on the showgrounds, you really need to adhere to what the directions that are given for the tests. As you can see here, Hazel's reaching for contact. She has her head at the right spot, and usually I feel as well when she's ready to canter, when she's, you know, in the right headspace, and it's something that she's making, you know, available to me to do. So that's usually the window of opportunity that I'm using to canter her. Usually at the trot, what happens is that she, you know, gets into the trot, and at one point when she's really relaxed and you barely feel anything in your hands really, that's the right time to ask. So that's how I go for, and that's how we get to maximize our efforts into getting into a canter or using the horse efficiently, is by making sure that the horse is mentally and physically available to you when you're actually asking something. That's something that you can't really modulate that much. That's something I'm trying to play with and just see if we're gonna be ready for it. So one of the things that I do to kind of trigger that moment to arrive is to just do a little bit of hand motion, a little bit of half halt, and that will just hopefully, you know, help the horse settle in, and then you'll be able to use that to canter or do something next. It's just kind of let them know like, hey, I would like to do something next. Are you available, type of thing. So you really get that kind of feeling, and it's kind of a connection that you get between the two. And that's really the secret, is just to make sure that the horse is really available to you before you do anything like that. Because if not, what's going to happen is, if you push them and the horse is not available to you, what's going to happen is going to pick up the wrong lead. You're going to start doing all kinds of things that are not needed. But mainly you will pick up the wrong lead. You're going to go counter canter. And sometimes they're going to be a little bit harder to stop or to you know, bend, or anything you're going to ask them is going to be just a step harder. Not impossible, but just harder. Time to change the sides here, and my coach noticed that my draw rein was unclipped, so we just clipped it back up. There is a little leather strap on her girth that sometimes kind of makes it a little hard to keep those clips in, but it's not a big deal. So we just fixed that up so we can actually work on the other side. And that's going to be Hazel's weaker side, so that's the side that's a little bit harder to get. So what has been happening with this side here is that she gets really apprehensive of it. So you'll see she's going to start, you know, either cantering without being asked to, and just show that she's, you know, one step ahead, a little bit more apprehension on that side. Another thing that she does as well is pick up the wrong lead. So as you can see here, we just had a missed attempt. So Hazel really wanted to canter at that point, but it's not what I asked when I asked it. So we just have to keep on pushing her. And now that's the time I asked her, and it just went really beautifully. But what happens is, if I let Hazel win and she decides to pick up that canter, like 95% of the time it's going to be on the wrong lead. So she really has to learn to kind of just pace herself, trust me, and you know, hear me out when I'm actually asking for it. That's the time that she can do it. But you'll see as it goes that she's going to try at different points, like, hey, is it canter time now? Is it canter time now? Can I canter now? These kind of little suggestions that she's pulling, and it's not always the smartest thing to do. So here, once again, another missed attempt from her, really trying to get into that canter. So what I do here, because she really put herself out there, I'm going to give her a good backup, reset that brain a little bit, and just ask her to basically wait for me. So once again, same corner, still another attempt from her to get into the canter. So that's something that she really does on this side. So what I'm trying to do is just change it up, change the different side I'm going to ask her, because she anticipates that we're going to ask exactly in the same corner, which I won't. So once again, same corner, and she still anticipates. So that's something that's going to happen a lot on this side. And I don't know why, I don't know if this side of her brain is a little bit more hyperactive, but that's the one that she's really thinking. And, you know, she's going to do it and do it and do it again. I think she did it at least 6-7 times in that lesson. So after trying a couple times and backing her up and trying and backing her up, and she still get the same reaction, my coach basically asked me to go along, just to change things up, because definitely there's an apprehension there and we can't really fix it by backing her up. We tried, but I guess she just needs to get her brain different spots. And that's why I actually ask for the canter in that specific corner right before we get into her apprehensive corner, and so like that I can just be one step ahead of her. Another thing that's been happening with that direction as well is that she will reach a nice collection a nice relaxation level, and usually she will break, the canter will break. So what my coach was suggesting is to basically get her into the canter for a very short amount of time and then just go back to trot and ask her again, and just break that pattern there of breaking in and out. Just by controlling the ins and out of the transition, you'll be able to basically break the pattern. So that's what we decided to do. That, or you can change sides and, you know, do different things, but just going from back and forward from the trot to the canter to the trot should do nicely. So you'll notice that we are changing sides often, and that's just to kind of change things up for Hazel. As I said earlier, she is apprehensive on the one side rather than the other. This side, she's really smooth and easy to get into the canter without any issues, but it's just fair to her to just change its sides to make it a little bit more accessible, and so she doesn't get all riled up, because it is harder on the other side for her, just because she is a little bit weaker muscle wise on the other side. So my coach suggested that I do a few transition from walk to trot, trot to canter, canter to trot, and etc., just to kind of help the muscle to kind of build up a bit. But overall, she gave her best that day. She did really good, actually. We start to see a little bit of an elevation or a push from the back end when she starts her canter, and that's what we've been working on all along. I feel overall she gets more and more balance as time goes, and that's really nice, because I have to do a little bit less when she's carrying herself properly, which is gonna get there. I can get that kind of collection or that little self-carriage at the trot, at the walk as well, but I can't get it at the canter yet, and that's what we're working towards. So after a successful start and end of canter on that side, my coach decided that it was perfect timing for us to end the lesson there. The highlights are definitely the way she's carrying herself now into that canter. The elevation is much improved. She's also, I can feel it, like she's also muscularly fitter and more built on the rear end, which is a good sign, because that's what we're definitely working on. What I've also noticed is she starts to propel herself from back to front in pretty much all gaits, which I'm really happy about, because that's going to help us to achieve like full collection eventually in the future. And we'll also be able to work on different things like flying lead changes, canter pirouette, which is going to be way down the line, and different things like that. But it's really nice to feel like you can control both part of the horse, so not just the front but the back as well. It gives you a very different feeling from the horse itself, which is really, like I said, it's really nice, and it makes it really soft for you as well. I just can't wait to see how long it's gonna take, but how good it's gonna be, this canter, once we're done. I think it was well overdue as a workout. So we were able to achieve this muscle build basically by cross-training Hazel and getting her to jump. These muscle in the back are really working actively when you're actually asking the horse to jump and propel themselves forward, and so that really builds up the muscle deep into the rear end of the horse, and that's how we were able to basically move along with this canter work. It seemed like at one point we were getting a little stuck there. We got a good consistent rhythm, but we weren't able to balance her back on her hocks. And I'm really happy and I'm really pleased that we're finally able to achieve that now. And I can't wait to see and show you guys what the final result's going to be. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed filming it for you guys. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already, and give me a big thumbs up, and don't forget to also comment in the section down below. I want to hear your thoughts. Are you guys working on the canter as well, and how is it going for you? Have a good one.